Alright, so now we're to the point of the LS budget build that it's time to put a transmission and an engine together. So what I did is in spirit of the budget build, I went on Facebook Marketplace, typed in well, what I was looking for, which is the 4L60E, and I found this baby. So I put a picture of the post on screen now, and that'll show you just roughly what I paid, which was about 350 bucks. Which for a rebuilt, which the guy told me it was freshly rebuilt right before he put it in storage. I don't know, he didn't give me much details, but he didn't use it for long after it was rebuilt, so you can still say this thing is freshly rebuilt. When did the drive and picked this thing up for 350 bucks to make it to this thing, which is the 5.3 LS out of a 2004 Chevy Suburban. So and that requires a little bit of modification if you're going to make a 4L60E, which this is the pre-1995 version. You can see it's a one-piece housing. After 1995, I think they did a two-piece housing, so you would have your bell housing here, your main body, and then your tail shaft. But as you can see, this one here is all one piece. So if you're going to use a one-piece 4L60E with a 5.3 third gen engine, what you're going to need is two things. You're going to need this spacer from Jegs or Summit Racing. I know both of those places have it. The spacer is about 60 bucks is what I paid for it. 65, 70 with tax and shipping. I can't remember exactly what it was. But all this does is on your torque converter, which this is mine here. On your torque converter, this is going to sit on the nose just like so, and support the hub. And then this is going to bolt right to your flywheel. The second thing you're going to need is to elongate your bolts. So I went ahead and marked how I'm going to elongate mine. As you can see, this one here I'm going to elongate this way. That one there I have to elongate it this way. So that is the only reason I have to elongate it is because these older torque converters do not match exactly up to this flywheel. So one of your holes will match up perfectly. The other two you will have to elongate if you're going to use this flywheel. Now you have the option of buying another flywheel which is already elongated for you and balanced and blah blah blah. But me, this is a cheap build. This is a budget swap, so I'm gonna retain the old flywheel. I'm gonna elongate it, and it is what it is. Now on this one, the way this is gonna go is flywheel first, or flex plate, whatever you want to call it. Flex plate first, then your spacer. Jegs, I know Summit will ship them with longer bolts already included in the kit. I'm not too sure about Jegs. They might also ship it with longer bolts, but that bolt's right there. Your flex plate in the middle. Your torque converter nub sits right here, and that's about all there is to it. So, and then your 4L60 will bolt right up to it. The pre 1995 4L60Es don't have this 12 o'clock bolt hole, so you're really only going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts in your connecting your engine and your trans. No big deal. 5 bolts will hold it, no problem. So I've already marked my bolts, and next step is going to be to elongate these. So I'm going to use some diamond rotary drill bits for my tool here, my rotary tool. Make sure I didn't lose that other bolt. There it is. So that's all you need there. And this is going to go in Brutus, which, as you can tell, I'm halfway through a fuel tank installation, and I'm running my fuel lines now. So let's get to it. So that's one hole basically. That's one hole basically elongated. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do a test fit. Okay, gonna do a test fit. My quarter will sit in its nub. Perfect. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the one that was okay. This is my regular. This is the one that was fine. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in here. All right. And then we're gonna spin this around. We're gonna see if this hole will line up now. All right, so it just needs a little bit more on that side I was already doing. And then I'm gonna do the other side and we should be good. So now that we have our flex plate back on our motor with our bolts attached. All right, now I'm gonna attach this transmission to it by myself. So I'm gonna have to be real fucking careful not to drop the shit on me. My shelf. I'm gonna have to pick it up, dry weight. Okay. All right. I'm gonna fill this torque converter right fast. Some Dextron 5-6. Okay. Make sure it's nice and full. And I'll tilt it forward. It should leak out just a bit. But that's okay, because we're gonna do a little bit of leaking. No problems there. At this point, we're good. Very dangerous what I'm doing here, but I trust my motor jack. Okay. Alright. Make sure it's seated properly. There we go. Now she's seated properly. Here we go. Now she's all the way back. That's what we want. And that's as far as who's gonna go. Let me put the bottle on this, cap on this. Now let this engine down just a bit. And we're gonna begin the mating process. Okay. Now it's on the what do you call that? No, it's on the oil pan just about. See how this is gonna line up. Good. Alright, so in that last clip you probably saw me trying to get the motor and transit into Brutus here, and that didn't work out too good. I think I was out here until probably 2 or 3 in the morning doing it the way I was doing it in that last clip, and it just didn't want to cooperate. I don't have enough concrete poured. Obviously I have a plywood flooring in this little shed thing I use as a shop, and my beams are a little bit too low for the clearance I needed on the engine. But that night I ended up taking a walk, went inside, cleared my mind. I was really frustrated actually, and I left it alone for about 2 days. 2 days later I came out here. I didn't film it, but I tried again, and this time I did manage to get the engine and the trans in at one time, which is how I wanted to do it, just to make it easier on myself, not having to get the trans in by itself later. So that sat down pretty well. I got my engine mounts placed in. They both did right in. The spacers worked. Everything I bought from eBay worked, so went right in, no issues with that. I got my trans in. I did have to cut a little bit of the fender here. What do you call this? The firewall, I guess you would call it, for my trans to fit in there, no problem. Had to cut this area here for my truck intake to fit. Of course, if I was using an F-body intake or an LS6 intake, I wouldn't have had to done that. But it is what it is. Got that done though, and got my trans cross member ordered in there. So that's in as well. Trans is now supported. The whole drive line is really tidied up and secure. I went ahead and cleaned up my drive shaft as well. It's pretty rusty from when I left it sit out in weather. Just took I took a wire wheel to it, and now it's pretty smooth. Hopefully it's still balanced, and we'll see how it does once I get it in. Today I'm going to be working on my headers, which of course I'm going to still be using the stock headers. So what I did yesterday, I went ahead and hit it with the wire wheel. I primed them, and now I'm hitting them with a metallic coat, like a bronze metallic coat, which I think is going to give it a nice finish. I still have to do the other side, which as you can see is just primed for right now, but I'm about to do that now. And of course this is all in the budget spirit, so instead of going out and buying $150, $200, $250 headers, I'm going to stick with these, and I think these will do just as well, especially after I get them coated and painted. I think they're going to be a nice fit, and I think they're going to look just as good. And down the line, I think I'm going to get my wideband sensor. I'll get a bung welded right about here, and that'll be where my wideband sensor is going to sit, which should work fine. The only issue with those is that I have very minimal clearance right here between where the headers would sit and my steering linkage. So I'm gonna have to, what I decided on doing, instead of trying to replace that steering linkage or trying to figure out how I'm gonna get those headers to fit between that steering linkage there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit the headers facing towards the front of the car, so it'd be dumping out this way, which I think is gonna work out, because I'm not gonna have, which I thought, because I don't think it's gonna interfere with the coolant lines or the radiator, so we should be fine there. On this side, it'll be close, it'll be dumping about here, but I still don't think it'll mess with the radiator, so I think that'd be fine. Got my intake in. I have to order the cleaner, the air filters. I'm gonna have a T-style. Still need an alternator and a starter. I still have to wire it. I still have to button up my fuel system, which is sitting right here for right now. So I have my fuel cell mounted. I have a fuel pump ordered, which should be here any day. I think last time I checked it'll be a couple days. I'm running my fuel line here. It's a braided line. Reason I haven't cut it up and went ahead and buttoned it up underneath is because I still need my fuel pump and my fuel filter, so I have to measure those out and cut that line before I get it all buttoned up. Other than that, I think we're good to go. I have to order my yoke for my transmission, which will go to my drive shaft, and between that and getting it wired and the ECU put in, this thing should run. This thing should drive. So once it's moving under its own power, then I'll start investing in a lot of more the aesthetic pieces. As far as the roll cage, I'm gonna have a 10-point roll cage. I'm gonna get the big 15-inch wheels with 275 60 15 radial, which is gonna sit about that wide. It's a slick, but it also has I think just a couple of the water tracks in it, so it's still road legal, which the whole car isn't road legal, but we'll get there when we get there. So, but for right now, progress is coming along fine. I'm gonna go ahead and work on these headers, get them buttoned up, and I think for today I'm gonna clean it up. Oh, and then this adds 10 wheel horsepower and that's 5 wheel horsepower, so this thing should move. All right, just wanted to show y'all what Brutus looks like with a mocked up radiator. This is not the one he's actually going to use, and with the engine in, I think it's a really good stance. Looking at it from about here, the intake does kind of sit over the radiator, which is a look I honestly didn't really like at first, but now it's growing on me. I think it's going to be a good look, especially after the engine is all the way dressed, because this thing is not dressed at all. I still need to put a battery on this side, fuse box on this side. There's gonna be wires running all over him, a belt, missing an alternator. We're missing a bunch of stuff. Gonna be coolant lines running here to here. So we still got a lot to do on him. So this is not the finished engine bay, but the way it's looking, it's already looking great. It's looking really good. So just wanted to show you all that right fast. And I sourced another Jag sticker, so that's another 20 wheel horsepower. So this thing's really gonna be fucking moving.